Welcome to our summit. You are not your trauma. Break free from the past, rapidly heal negative patterns, and finally step into your calm, authentic, and lovable self. My name is Lee Schwab, and I have the honor today of interviewing your host for the past 2 weeks, Genevieve Solomon. Genevieve is a breathwork facilitator, advanced theta healer, spiritual teacher, transformation coach, and crystal channel. Using breathwork, Genevieve offers her clients the ability to clear trauma from the body and find clarity. With Theta Healing, Genevieve helps her clients to use everything in their lives to illuminate and replace the limiting beliefs held within the subconscious. Her spiritual teachings help her clients to cultivate love, compassion, forgiveness, and understanding, and to step into their power as creators of their own reality. Welcome, Genevieve.
Thank you, Lee, for doing this interview.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being a part of this as well. Would you please tell us how you became a healer? Give us some of your story.
So, my healing journey started when I was very young, actually, because my trauma was very apparent. And by the time I was 17, I had a horrible eating disorder. I was abusing alcohol and drugs, and I couldn't sleep anymore at all. And then I started having panic attacks. So I really was totally not able to function. And I found my way to a therapist who helped me to rebalance my brain chemistry using neurofeedback. And because neurofeedback helps to bring the beta waves down and the alpha waves up, I was able to learn how to meditate. And I would say that that was the beginning of my healing journey, was learning how to meditate. However, I was not committed to my own healing. I was very young and I didn't really know like the potential of a life that was free of trauma, and I only knew what I knew, so I was really holding on to my patterns. And I didn't I wasn't able to make meditation really a daily practice. It was just not something that I had the discipline or the strength to incorporate in my life. And so that very supportive practice kind of just fell away. And I did what I think most people do, is I just sort of muscled through trying to manage my anxiety and trying to get through life as best I could. I was always very interested in spiritual ideas. And so I really loved to think about spiritual ideas and think about spirituality. But my understanding really remained in my mind and my intellect. And it really wasn't until my 30s until I experienced such depths of despair that I was able to finally surrender, and to surrender to the fact that I was completely out of control of my life. And through that process of surrender, I learned how to drop into my heart. And that is where the healing process really started to begin. So, your question, like, how did I become a healer, is really more of a question, is how did I heal? And through the process of healing, I now am so passionate about sharing all of those modalities that helped me so much, and all of the teachings that helped me so much. And so, yeah, so maybe I can share a little bit about the early time of my healing and what helped me to make that shift. So, in my 30s, I had two small children who I loved more than anything, as all mothers do. And I just could not stop feeling so out of control of my emotions. Like, I felt very triggered more often than I could possibly stand. And my desire to change was so strong. And yet every day I still found myself in this spiral of self-loathing after feeling angry or yelling um, at my kids. And so I would go down this spiral and it would just bring me to, the depths of despair. I felt like I couldn't go on anymore. I felt like maybe I should kill myself. Maybe I'm just not good for anybody. Maybe I'm hopeless. Maybe I'm broken. All of those things. So I found my way. Thankfully, I was led to a Buddhist center, and in that first Buddhist class, it was a Dharma class, I was introduced to the idea that all of my suffering was in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also introduced to the idea that because that's so, I can be grateful because then it can be changed.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really important for me to hear because I felt so at the mercy of life, of what was happening outside of me, of all the things that were triggering my suffering. And I felt very hopeless and helpless, because if you believe that your suffering comes from the outside, then you have very little control over the depths of your suffering. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I learned that the suffering was in my mind and that I could learn how to cultivate a peaceful and happy mind and alleviate my suffering, I was so relieved. I started going to that Buddhist center like 2, 3 times a week, every week. But I will tell you that within 2 weeks, my depression was completely lifted.
Mm-hmm.
And my feet were set upon a path toward healing that was, now looking back, was going to be so beautiful. And it actually took a long time because uh, because I was really relying on just one practice only, and that was my Buddhist practice, my meditation. Um, Now I see that combining meditation with teachings and with healing modalities is a very quick, holistic way to heal trauma and to start changing your life in less time than just simply doing one of those things alone, just
Mm-hmm.
healings or just reading spiritual ideas or just meditation. That really, the combination of all of those things, along with community, is what helps people to move rapidly into the
Mm-hmm.
life that they want and the
Mm.
experience of life that they want.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's incredible. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Can you tell us about some of these modalities that you've used in conjunction with Buddhism that was so transformational?
Yeah. So with my Buddhist meditation, I just want to say one thing because I didn't get to include it in this summit, and I really wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But Buddhist meditation is a little different than some meditations. Some meditations are very like clear your mind meditations, just to go into a state of stillness, and that's very helpful. But Buddhist meditation is contemplative meditation. So there are several meditations that one can do that actually help to cultivate compassion, wisdom, love, gratitude, releasing attachment, understanding uh, impermanence. So these are all contemplative meditations that don't just rely on quieting the mind, but really help you to grow in all of those virtues. And those are supportive practices in and of themselves. So I do recommend contemplative meditation, and I like to teach people how to do contemplative meditation because I feel it's so enriching and it really helps to elevate people's uh, qualities that are most helpful in having a beautiful life, and that's love and gratitude and all, and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
So just want to say that. And then it was really important because for me, because I was doing, I was very committed. I was meditating. I was going to Dharma classes a lot, and I was doing everything that I could. But I was also frustrated and discouraged some of the time because I felt like even though no matter what I was doing, there was still a lot of times when I would have an event show up in my life that would trigger an emotion, and I couldn't find the space in between the trigger and the whatever the reaction. It was not a response, it was a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very frustrated. But when I found breath work, I was able to finally find that space in between the trigger where I had a choice, and I was able to then choose my response rather than just a knee-jerk reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And um, that really helped move things quickly then, because I could practice much more easily when I could find that space. I could choose, okay, I can choose patience here. I can choose compassion here. I can choose self-awareness instead of just constantly reacting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the way that that happened was breath work was able to clear all of this cumulative trauma that I was holding in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And that cumulative trauma had been there my entire life. I had suppressed it. I had suppressed it with my defense mechanisms of people pleasing and avoiding confrontation. And I just was setting up my life so that I would try not to be triggered all the time by
Mm-hmm.
just trying to be whatever I thought everybody wanted me to be. I also suppressed it with alcohol, and I suppressed it um, with, I don't know, uh, just just not looking at it, just not willing to look at it, just suppress it. But when I had kids, I realized I couldn't do it anymore. It was
Mm-hmm.
just, I couldn't get away from it. And my children were the blessing of my life for many reasons. And one was that I could not escape this constant mirror that was being held up to me. And I
Mm-hmm.
had to look at my triggers. And the way that I did that was by clearing all of this cumulative trauma so that I had space to see what was it that was actually triggering me. And I learned how to understand that the triggers in our lives are really just showing us the judgments that we have about ourselves, the limiting beliefs that we hold, the things that we need to forgive in ourselves, the things that we need to
Mm-hmm.
love in ourselves. And then I learned how to use these teachings as a practice to just to further integrate all the parts of myself that I just thought were unlovable.
Mm-hmm.
And so it started to become that when I would meet somebody and I would have a judgment about that person, I could easily turn it around and just look at myself and say, what is it that I can't accept about myself that I'm projecting on this person? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So can I forgive that? Can I accept that? And then that started a process of cultivating self-love. And self-love is a very powerful point of attraction. That when you
Mm-hmm.
have a when you keep the more you can cultivate self-love, the more that you can see that reflected to you in your life.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. What eventually brought you into theta healing?
Oh, so theta healing, so breath work really constantly helped me to clear and to get clarity. I was always able to find a level of clarity for my life after each breathwork retreat. And part of that was that that I was able to become much more energetically clear and much more connected to my clear energy field. And when I have a clear energy field, I'm much more receptive to other people's energies and I can feel more clearly. And because that was a new thing that I discovered in breath work, it was quite fascinating. And I realized how when there were things in my energy field that were feeling off and causing me a lot of anxiety. So when I was going through a divorce, I had a lot of anxiety coming up. And you actually sent me to a theta healer. And I felt that it was such an interesting process that this theta healer was able to tap into the energies that I was holding and the beliefs that were present that were actually attracting all of those energies. And again, such gratitude for everything that I experienced, because it's there to show me the beliefs that need to be healed. And for one was my feeling of safety and boundaries, that I did not have a sense of safety in my body. I didn't know what that felt like. And so because I didn't know what that felt like, I didn't know how to return to it. And the other was that I didn't have healthy boundaries, and I didn't believe that healthy boundaries were beneficial for myself and others. I just didn't understand because I just never had them. So she helped me to establish the feeling of having boundaries and feeling safe in my body, which helped me to further create the life based on those very basic things that, perhaps people without a lot of trauma are able to just have in their life. And people with a lot of trauma have to establish usually boundaries and safety. And that was true for me.
Mm.
And then about a year later, I decided I was going to do that training because I really felt so inspired by that modality. It felt like a real yes to me. And at that point, I had cleared so much, and I had become my intuition had become much more refined, and it felt like the right time to do theta healing. And so when I did when I did that training, I felt much more confident in my intuitive abilities, and it strengthened them, and it strengthened my relationship with Creator. And so now when I do theta healing, I feel so connected to my client because of the clear energy fields that I hold. I can feel them, and I can hear, and I can intuit what's going on for them and what limiting beliefs they're holding.
Mm.
And then I can help them release them.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. And could you tell, for those who do not know much about theta healing, what exactly it is, and how it helps people with trauma?
Yeah. So theta healing is within the realm of the quantum field healing that we have had we've got to have some interesting discussions about that. And it uses the quantum field. So that means that I can put myself in a theta brainwave state, which everybody has.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the most quantum brainwave. And in that state, I can connect to the quantum field. And in that quantum field is where we are all connected and where limitless potential exists. And so when you can reach that state, you can make a command of what is wanted for the client. And then through your witnessing, you can bring it into manifestation, because quantum physics shows us over and over that you can't separate the observer from the phenomenon being observed. Nothing really happens in this realm without us witnessing it. And so the theta healer just uses her intuitive abilities to witness the change happening. And then the client can actually use muscle testing to confirm, yes, my belief has changed in this way.
Right.
And the interesting thing about theta healing, the reason why it's so effective, in my opinion, is that it can be a little bit slow when we're working with just finding the beliefs that we have adopted in this lifetime, because those are the only ones that are apparent to us. And then, trying to convince ourselves that it's not a beneficial belief and we can release it.
Mm.
Excuse me. But theta healing is very rapid for two reasons. Because you're giving over to the creator the um, the belief that you want to be changed. And that is then using a power greater than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where our power really is. When we think that we have to do everything from our ego state and our limited perspective, it's we can become very anxious and controlling and outcome based. But once we give over to the power greater than ourselves, then anything is possible and very rapid healing is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing that is very important is that theta healing uses the understanding that there are 4 belief levels happening simultaneously for all human beings at all times. And the first one is the core belief level. And that's everything that Lee has decided about Lee since conception to now. And then the second is the DNA level or the ancestral level. And that's all the programs that you have inherited through your bloodlines. And this has to do with survival programs, cultural programs, programs about gender, programs about worthiness, programs usually about money. Trauma can be inherited through that, and very beneficial things as well. But all of these programs. And then the third is the history level. And that has to do with all of your experiences in all of the lives that you've ever lived. And it also has to do with collectively all of the shared beliefs that we've kind of all agreed to hold in this, as we share this incarnation together.
Mm.
And then the fourth is the soul level. And that has to do with your evolution as a soul, just how much you've learned and what you are here to learn.
Mm.
So when we're doing theta healing and we're digging for limiting beliefs, we're actually able to find beliefs that you might be holding as deep as your soul level. And then we can clear it or resolve it on all of those levels. So the
Mm.
healing is very deep. It's not like, okay, I've just see that um, I just see that I think that, let's say, people are struggling with money. Okay. And maybe their parents are like, well, you got to work really hard for your money. And that's a belief that they were handed down. And they could say, yeah, I believe that. Obviously, I believe that. But really, the belief might be, I must suffer to grow or something. And that
Mm-hmm.
could be as deep as as a soul level belief. And those are tied together. So we
Mm.
can find those beliefs and we can clear them. And then the client could say, actually, what I would really like to create in this life is the feeling that I can grow with ease and grace, and I can learn with joy, and I can have abundance flow to me easily. So then we give
Mm.
them those programs. And then that is the subconscious base upon which she starts creating her life rather than I must suffer to learn.
Mm. Fascinating. And is this something that has to be done in person, or can this be done through anywhere?
That's a good question. Because it's energy healing, it can be done anywhere. I do most of my theta healings on over Zoom. We're all connected in the quantum field, so it doesn't matter where you are.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you. That was wonderful, really informative. So tell us, what made you decide to become a transformational coach?
So I feel that through my own experience in healing, I feel that it's very important to incorporate the healing piece. Because especially if you're dealing with trauma, you need support, you need help, you need healings, you need to help you need to get that out of your body. You need to rebalance your nervous system and reprogram subconscious. All of those things are really important. Um, and I think that without practice and support and community in changing your mindset and really learning how to connect deeper and deeper into yourself, that it's very easy to recreate the same programs that you have just tried to heal yourself from. So, continuing on a path towards healing and deepening self-awareness really requires consistent practice and commitment. And so I decided to become a coach because I feel like I have I have picked up a lot of really beautiful transformative practices that I share. And I feel like one of my favorite things to do is to uplift people. And
Mm,
I feel that we can all use some encouragement and some love and some compassion and a friendly support system that just says, you're doing great, and
mm,
we're in this together. So
mm,
it's my joy to connect with people on their healing journeys and to share that with them. So that's
mm.
why I became a coach.
That's wonderful. Well, this has been such a wonderful conversation, and I want to thank you, Genevieve, for hosting this summit and introducing everyone here to so many healers, practices, and perspectives to help release their trauma and make permanent shifts. Again, an absolute pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you so much for interviewing me, Lee. And to everyone that joined us in our You Are Not Your Trauma Summit, I am offering the biggest heartfelt thanks for having this conversation with me, for spending time with me and all of our amazing speakers. And I look forward to cultivating this community together further. And I hope that you all enjoyed this experience as much as I did. Thank you.
Mhm.
Goodbye.